Every man is a leader. Are you leading like God intended? That's up today on The Ancient Path. Welcome to The Ancient Path, Biblical Wisdom for Men. I'm Cliff Sims, pastor of the River Church, Decatur, and I'm glad you're here. On this podcast, we're all about equipping men with God's wisdom for real-life challenges. And today, we're talking about something every man is called to, leadership. Now, you might be thinking, I'm not a leader. I don't run a company. I'm not a pastor. I don't have a title. But here's the truth. If you're a man, you are called to lead in your family, in your workplace, in your community. The only question is, are you leading well? Today, we're looking at God's blueprint for leadership because the world has a lot of opinions about leadership, but only one voice matters. So let's dig in. The world often defines leadership as what? Control or authority or getting others to follow you. But biblical leadership is different. Jesus flips the script on leadership when he says in Matthew chapter 20, verses 26 through 28, whoever wants to become great among you must become your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. That's the first key to godly leadership. It's not about power, but responsibility. Responsibility in your home, in your family. And that means taking spiritual responsibility for your wife and kids. Do you lead your wife and kids in prayer? Do you open the Word with them? I had a conversation just yesterday with another dad in our church, and we were talking about spending time in the Word as a family. Jesus said, go and make disciples, but our mission of discipleship, it begins in our homes with our families. What about our workplace? That means setting the tone for integrity, not just climbing the ladder. How about your community? That means serving those around you, not just looking out for yourself. Really, many of us have made our homes like a fortress where our privacy and our comfort is the priority. But what if we took responsibility to lead in our community through hospitality and service? We're going to talk about all these things, but remember, true leaders don't demand respect. They earn it through humility and service. The Bible gives clear direction on where and how men should lead. First, men are called to lead in their families. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23 says, "For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is head of the church." Now, this isn't about domination, it's about direction. Leading your family spiritually means praying with your wife. And I know just how challenging this can be sometimes. Teaching your kids about God. A tip for this is just to set up a regular practice of getting in the Word. Maybe that's at night before everybody starts to wind down, or maybe that's at the breakfast table. You just grab a Bible and read a few verses and talk about it together. However you do it, you make it a practice. If you make it a practice, you're far more likely to continue. Making sure your home is built on God's Word, not just good intentions. For us lately, I've made it a point in prayer to ask God to help our family honor His name, for our home to be a place where He is honored. We want to make sure that with everything that we do and say, God is central. Okay, here's the second thing. Men are called to lead in their workplaces. Colossians chapter 2, verse 23 says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." Whether you're a CEO or sweeping floors, leadership isn't about your position, it's about your attitude. Are you known for integrity, excellence, and respect? Do people trust your word? Or do they have to double check what you say? The truth is, a godly employee, a godly boss is a blessing in the workplace, and they're the most dependable worker there is. A godly leader brings light into the workplace, not just results. All right, the third thing, men are called to lead in their communities. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 10 says, "When the righteous prosper, the city rejoices." So wherever you are, your presence should bring blessing. And if you're part of the church, then the church creates community. So this can mean so many things: mentoring a younger person, serving at your church, or just being the guy who stands for truth when no one else will. Your community needs strong, godly men. The question is, will you step up? If you want to know what kind of leader God calls you to be, always look at Jesus. He led with authority, but he also led with love. He called men to follow him, but he also got on his knees and washed their feet. He was bold in truth, but full of grace. John chapter 10, verse 11 says, "I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep." That's biblical leadership, sacrificial, servant-hearted, and grounded in truth. So let me challenge you today. Where is God calling you to lead? Are you stepping up in your family? Are you leading with integrity at work? Are you a godly presence in your community? Leadership isn't about waiting for a title. It's about taking responsibility where you are. Where's God calling you to step up in leadership? The world is desperate for godly men who will lead. And remember, the best leaders are the best followers of Christ. If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend. Let's build a brotherhood of men pursuing godliness together. If you'd like to know more about our church, you can visit us at riverchurchdecatur.com. You can find my email there as well. Feel free to reach out. And hey, don't forget to follow us on our socials for updates, encouragement, and community. You can find us on youtube.com/@riverchurchdecatur or at instagram.com/riverchurchdecatur. This is Cliff Sims, and I'll see you next time on The Ancient Path. Until then, stand strong, surrender well, and walk in wisdom.